What's going on, family? How we doing, everybody? Wishing everybody a happy Father's Day. New, old, young, stepfathers, everybody in between. Hope you have a great day. It's your day to celebrate and relax, however that is. And today we're taking a look at hemp and hemp plastics and the opportunity behind that. Now you're wondering, hemp plastics, how can hemp or weed make plastics? Well, if you know anything about hemp, it can do everything, basically make everything that plastic can make, and better. But let's start real quick with a little bit of hemp facts and plastic facts. In an article by hempbenchmarks.com, it says researchers quoted the United Nations. They estimate more than 8.3 billion tons of plastic's been produced since the early 1950s. 60% has ended up in either landfills or the environment. That hurts my heart to hear that. That's just atrocious. But in the same article, it says more than 99% of plastics are produced from chemicals derived from oil, natural gas, and coal, which are, dirty, non-renewable resources. If that continues, by 2050, the plastic industry could account for 20% of the world's total oil consumption, which, okay, if there was no other ingredients known to man that could make the things that oil can make, okay, you have an argument there. Hey, this is the only thing that can make it. But it's not, and they know that, because anything you can do, hemp can do better. Let's put it that way. In an article in Canatech Today, hemp could be the biggest investment opportunity since plastic from January 27th, 2023. Plastics and packaging in the cannabis world, everybody knows if you're a consumer, is massive. You buy your gram of cannabis or you buy your eighth or your joint, usually it's in a plastic container with multiple plastic parts on it. If you're lucky, it's glass. Most of the time, it's plastic. So what do? You open it up, you toss it out, and that's the last you ever see of it. You throw it in the trash, or, I know from working at a dispensary for many years that, right outside the dispensary, you see the trash of everything you just sold everybody. It's just the way it works. It's unfortunate, but people still litter. So if they're going to litter, at least let's make it plastic, right? Renewable green energy. Again, we're going to have experts on, hopefully at a later date, some scientists about hempcrete, hemp plastics, the infrastructure and supply chain that's going into hemp being made in America and all this stuff. But packaging is the massive opportunity, especially in a green industry. It's a green industry, right? So don't you want to be as green and environmental, as renewable as possible to kind of live your beliefs, I would think. If you don't, then I'd say you kind of fall more in the capitalism, capitalistic entrepreneur side, and that's fine. But with this industry, with the opportunity to create such renewable resources, I think we should start as quickly as possible. The economic opportunity in packaging for hemp as a replacement for petroleum-based paper, packaging, and plastic is insane. By 2030, conservatively, 2% of market share of the three combined sectors will be a $53 billion business. And it says right here, the hemp sector could be a near $1 trillion business by 2030. It just dwarfs anything you've ever seen. And you heard it here first, maybe not first or second or third, but you've heard it here. And I want to make sure we say this now so we can cover it again in the future. The huge potential. Everybody knows that hemp can make plastics, cars. If you didn't know, Henry Ford made a car strictly out of hemp. Jay Leno has one. He did an episode on his garage. We'll try to pin some of the links in the comments so you can actually, don't take my word for it, check out the archives. In my opinion, hemp Crete, Hemp Plastics, hemp everything is going to take over. And I don't understand why it wouldn't. And you have this hempplastic.com. And I really wanted to show everybody this because it's already available. It's a little bit more expensive because the supply chain isn't here. But between the pollution and the waste that comes from actually creating and making all these things. I mean, right here on the plastic company, 25 to 100% reduction in plastics by switching to use hemp plastics. And even if you do use hemp plastic or hemp packaging or hemp biodegradable material, even if you do litter and throw it out, it's biodegradable. So you shouldn't litter, but if you do, it'll just go away. And if not, it'll be way better than the current problem. If you see right here, these look like little, packaging cases people buy cannabis in, or dabs, as they say, whatever it is. It can be made. A lot of times right now it's being mixed with other things. But just look. It's everywhere. Bio paste, polymer, propylene, everything. Ooh, abs. You can get abs. I'm just kidding. That's not what that means. But the potential for hemp plastic, market size and industry landscape, can it replace fossil fuels? Look at this. Plastic waste has gone way, way up. And if anybody knows anything about hemp, hemp can take in 4 times the amount of CO2 as a tree does in a fourth of the time. So if it can do that, imagine what else it can do. So I beg you to take a look at these hemp plastic articles and do a little bit more research on what hemp can do. Can hemp be made as plastics? Here's an interesting fact. The BMW Group is already using renewable raw materials, natural fibers, and other bio-based materials in its vehicles. For example, in door trim panels or in the substructure of the center armrest of the new BMW 7 Series. So BMW is already doing it, which means they know it's lighter, they know it's cheaper, and they know it's stronger. Now, how can it be lighter and stronger? I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm just reading articles. But there are scientists out there that are explaining it. The use of natural raw materials such as hemp, kenaf, and flax minimizes the use of materials and reduces weight by up to 50% compared to conventional materials. Natural materials also come into the CO2 calculation with a negative value, since the plants used can absorb CO2 and release oxygen during the growth phase. So whatever it uses to create, it uses and expels. It's a negative carbon footprint. Imagine that. You have a car made of hemp running on hemp oil, cleaning the air as it goes. With the technology these days, that should be possible. But don't take my word for it. Let's keep going. Hemp plastic industry utilizes the seed, husks, leaves, and stems of hemp plants as their materials for plastic production. The hemp plant's high cellulose content makes it a solid and durable material for plastic manufacturing. Here we go. Hemp plastic industry, landscape, and market size. Hemp fiber, hemp seed. If you go to your local Whole Foods, and I'm not promoting Whole Foods, but if you go there, go to the vitamin or seeds aisle, you'll see hemp seeds and CBD everywhere. So they're getting it from somewhere because they know, and it's in the wellness area, and hemp is a superfood. And it when you learn all these things that hemp can do, it's no surprise why it was basically written illegal, written to be illegal in the 1937 Marijuana Tax Act. My own humble opinion, this is just conjecture, is that I don't think they made cannabis illegal because it gets you high. I think they made cannabis illegal because of hemp. I think hemp can do everything that oil can do. It's been proven that it can by Harvard and all these scientists, BMW. So I think they did a little bait and switch where if you make cannabis illegal, well, you ex facto make hemp illegal. And why wasn't Henry Ford able to create his car in mass after he created it? Well, World War II happened where we used a bunch of oil. So I'm going to cover Henry Ford's hemp car on the next one. I think that's a good idea, and talk about Jay Leno's car. But let's look at this. The 2021 U.S. hemp harvest, average price per pound. Now, it's going down. That sucks. But let's look at the global market. It's expected, let's start. The global hemp fiber market is expected to account for basically $500 million by 2028, which is 5 years from now. And we're already halfway through 2023. Look at that. Look at that exponential growth. And that's just hemp fiber. That has nothing to do with CBD. That has nothing to do with oils. That's just hemp fiber. DataBridge shows that hemp fiber market is anticipated to grow at approximately 6.9% from 2021 to 2028 to reach $500 million. When compared to fossil-based plastics, hemp plastic products will replace fossil-based plastics because they're lighter, they're biodegradable, and a thermodynamic property. Global plastic market size, which was $6.3 billion in 2021, will reach $18.7 billion. I mean, that speaks for itself. So now, when you say you have for example, say you have Tupperware made out of plastic right now in your refrigerator, that's not good because the food soaks in some of the plastics. Those forever plastics may live in there, those sort of things. Well, if you have a hemp bioplastic, you may not have to worry about that. Now, I don't know that, but I would just 1 + 1 = 2, right? So all these things I'm not going to get into because I don't know. I'm not a scientist, so I don't know these. I'd like to have somebody on here in the near future to talk about these, and I will. So just stay tuned. But the problem right now of why it can't be industrialized and scaled up is because there's basically no infrastructure for it. The farmers are getting creamed. But let's look at this. Most of the hemp plastics is not entirely plant-based, but fiber-reinforced biocomposites, which means it's not 100% hemp. The hemp stalk is strengthened with an existing polymer to make fiber-reinforced biocomposites, which means they're used to integrate into hemp bioplastics, are petroleum-based or plant-based. So it's still it's almost like just diluting it. It's not really changing it for the better, is kind of diluting it right now, which is it's a step in the right direction, but it's not enough. And so they still basically have to cut it. In drug dealers' terms, you have to cut it with other things to make it. Oh, look, it's 419. Yeah. So let's look at planted hemp acreage by state. California has the most. Colorado, Illinois. Now, what's interesting about California is when I was working in a cannabis dispensary, we weren't allowed to sell hemp-derived products in the dispensary. Now, if you go to a liquor store or CVS or anything like that, you will see hemp-based products. Oh, 420 crew, you know what to do. 420 crew, you know what to do. Anyway, so for some reason, we couldn't carry it in the dispensary. Then they passed a law. I think I don't know what's going on, but I would guess it's something hemp and cannabis going against each other, cross-pollinations, which doesn't really make sense. But here's the top producing hemp states: California, Colorado, Illinois, Montana, who actually approved hemp as livestock feed. And to prove that, let's do this. Let's do Montana livestock feed hemp. And it'll come up that says Montana passes landmark bill advancing hemp as animal feed. And that was Who knows? But that was recently. So they're starting to see it. And they've started to see, actually, the animals are healthy. Let's see. Let's check this out. Yep. Hemp as animal feed can affect the cows and their milk. So if you look at it, it actually makes them healthier. Well, again, don't take my word for it. I'm not a scientist. But I urge you to look into that more. So it's 4:20, so I got to go. But I wanted to just quickly cover the hemp plastic topic and just let everybody know, just do some Google searches. Look around for hemp plastics. And if you have a business, try to find a hemp plastic supply chain. They're out there. I don't know and don't promote any current companies that create them, but they're out there. They're everywhere. You just have to look. They're not going to cover this in the mainstream media, which is the whole point of Cannabis Quarterly, is just to show you alternative news and alternative ways of doing things that aren't, So let's look at this. Hemp plastic. Up. Look at that. So if you are interested in hemp plastics, go check them out. Do some Google searches. And if you're starting a business, I worked for a cannabis lab, and I'm not going to tell you which one, but I told the CEO that he should start a company that did hemp packaging for the cannabis industry. That's an industry that everybody really, really cares about the environment, majority of them. Today's little thing is about hemp plastics. It's crazy, and I'll cover Henry Ford's hemp car on the next one. So, happy Father's Day. Until next time, keep growing, and don't forget to tip your bud tenders.